Hey, good Friday evening to you. We want to bring you another live weather stream update for tonight's storm potential. And we're also, of course, looking ahead to the weekend, the Vols home opener. I've got your Vols game day forecast, have some of the latest detailed information that we'll pass along to you coming up right now. I do hope you're having a great Friday. So starting off, thought we'd start off with a nice sunset. This is a live view right now at 7:23 on this Friday evening. And we're looking off, obviously, in the western sky. This is our downtown Knoxville camera. And a couple of things I wanted to point out here. Did you notice the haze today? Certainly you did, right? And it's still hazy. That's actually smoke from the Canadian and Pacific Northwest wildfires in the upper levels that's transported way downstream by the fast-moving river of air, the upper level winds, bringing the smoke overhead. So that's upper level atmospheric smoke producing the hazy conditions. But a lot of times when you have smoke in the atmosphere, it gives you some brilliant sunrises and sunsets. So that's kind of what we're seeing, a little bit of that different type of orangish glow and a little bit subdued, but again, due to the haze. So let's talk about what we're seeing right now, and of course, we'll walk forward. 87 our high today. It was very warm. It's been a humid day, a little bit of a breeze, winds are southwest at 6. Look at that dew point, though, 69 degrees. It will continue to be warm and muggy. High school football games underway, and most of the games going to fare fairly well, but we do have that chance for more storms moving in later this evening into the early portion of tonight. I'll get right to radar, of course, in a moment. And that's the main purpose of this live stream. We're talking about the potential for some strong to maybe severe storms later tonight and another round of thunder showers redeveloping for part of our Saturday. So we'll focus on that coming right up. Temperatures in the 70s on the plateau, but Crossville 80. We're in the low to mid 80s. Temperatures are not going to be dropping that much tonight due to the juice in the atmosphere. And that's one of the things I wanted to point out. It's very muggy, very humid with dew points in the upper 60s and lower 70s. So here's a broad view of the rest of tonight. We're going to see showers and scattered storms possibly developing closer to about between 9 and 11 p.m. Probably going to be a little bit later on that scale, it looks like. We'll take a look at the latest radar and futurecast coming right up. But generally speaking, between 10 p.m. and midnight, broadly speaking, we're looking at some of those scattered showers, few storms. And then this round of showers and storms that's going to impact our area tonight will slowly move through and weaken tonight, and then so we'll see improving conditions into our early Saturday morning. May start out with some patchy fog in the morning, but again, a little bit of improving trend as we get into our morning. All right, so let's focus and talk about the weather impact alert that is going to be in place tonight because there's the potential for some strong storms. Let's talk about, again, the broad time frame. Again, coming up on 7:30 now. So again, the broader range and time frame is from 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. So anytime in this 6-hour window, that's when we have the best chance to see some of these strong to potentially severe storms. If we see some severe storms, the main impact are damaging wind gusts possible, also some large hail possible. Those are the two primary impacts that we could see as we look ahead to those storms. Want to mention, actually, and I'll get to this in just a moment, severe thunderstorm warning for Laurel County in Kentucky. That just coming across. So we're going to take a closer examination of that in just a moment. And again, we have some watch information we'll pass along. So just getting that warning up in Kentucky. So I'll get right to that. So back to our weather impact alert. Again, that's for the time tonight. Strong to isolated severe storms possible. Stay weather alert and be prepared to seek shelter, and particularly for the Plateau, Kentucky, and Virginia. This is the area where a severe thunderstorm watch was issued by the Storm Prediction Center a little earlier this evening, and it will be in place until 1 a.m. Saturday. So that expiration time kind of gives us a clue, and that window, we have an 8 p.m. to 2 a.m., broadly speaking. But that kind of gives us an idea of not only the time frame for when we could see severe storms, but also the area. The greatest chance for strong to severe storms, as it looks right now, will be across the plateau, including Crossville, Wartburg, over to La Follette, and up to Tazewell, and also for Lee County, Virginia, and all of southeast Kentucky. So in East Tennessee, this does include Hancock, also Claiborne, Campbell counties, also Scott, Morgan, Fentress, and Cumberland. The Cumberland Plateau County counties. Now that watch does extend back to the west in parts of Middle Tennessee. And again, so we'll take a closer look at the radar coming up in just a moment. But back to our impacts, as I mentioned, damage and wind gusts, the primary impact. Need to probably raise this hail up a little bit more. This was an earlier assessment. Heavier downpours may produce some localized flooding, but kind of a lower end chance on that. Tornadoes, isolated tornado possible, but not likely. Again, some stronger wind gusts primarily. It may have raised that low end threat for some quarter size hail, particularly up in Kentucky and the plateau where that watch is in place. So let's talk more about the timeline. Again, I kind of alluded to that a little bit. We'll show you the futurecast coming up. But the arrival time, again, basically coming up. They're developing now in Kentucky and the plateau. So, but 8 to 10 p.m. more of that line moving in, and a little fast there. 9 to 11 p.m. here in the valley, and 10 p.m. to midnight for the mountains. So that's the arrival time and that expectation of those storms within that 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. window. So here's what we're seeing. Again, we do have that new severe thunderstorm warning. It does include, it basically looks like it's going to include northwestern, kind of far northern Laurel County in Kentucky. And that's that one isolated storm here. Here's the bigger picture of what we're seeing. Where you see yellow boxes, these are polygons. Those are individual severe thunderstorm warnings. And a severe thunderstorm has winds of 60 miles per hour or greater, or quarter size hail or larger. So we had those severe storms yesterday. You may have seen some pictures of folks putting a coin in their hand with the hailstone. That coin, for a reference, is very helpful to us and meteorologists, so we can pass along that information. It lets us see quarter is severe size hail, or any coin. So it lets us see the size of a hailstone compared to a coin. So that's always a great idea. But those are the two main factors that make a storm severe. Now, another cluster of strong to severe storms. This is expected to dive southeastward, more toward the Chattanooga area. So we're seeing a little bit more of somewhat of a line trying to form within that general area. And so that's what's happening right now. Let me show you the area that's expected to have the greatest risk. It's in yellow. It's a level 2 out of 5 elevated risk from Kentucky right across the plateau. That's where that watch has been issued, and back into Middle Tennessee. Now, zooming on in, this level 2 risk does extend from Crossville to Knoxville. It does come into the Central Valley, including Knoxville, and then to the north up into Kentucky and back west. So this is the area, and kind of closer to where that watch was issued within this risk area. Okay, so that's where that watch means severe weather is possible and in close to the watch area. But this is the zone where we're probably going to see a better chance for strong to severe storms. Further east, those storms later tonight are expected to slowly weaken, and that's why we have a lower end marginal risk for eastern areas. So that's a look at the severe risk, and we will continue to track that and monitor that as we go throughout the rest of tonight. So that's kind of the preview of the severe risk, the watches in place, and some of those warnings. Now, speaking of the warnings, I will get to that storm up in Laurel County in a moment. Let me just show you what we're seeing right here. And I want to make a couple of points. If you were watching and following us on our live stream early this afternoon, did one about 3:15 or so, and we went back and forth between the two in-house high-res models that we look at. We look at a lot of guidance, but two of the closer in, higher resolution models were quite different, matter of fact, at that time. One was pretty slow in developing, one was pretty fast. And you know, a lot of times when we look at a lot of guidance, a lot of times the actual reality of what transpires is sometimes in between the two. Each one does something different, but that's why we look at, they're not all alike, or you just need one, right? They're different, so we can take what's the strengths of each one, and they do have some biases, but put those together and we come up with our forecast that helps us with our timing. So that's kind of in a nutshell what we try to do, and we're assessing the storms from the forecast. So what we're seeing right now, one of the models that was showing the earlier development, it did do a good job of showing a few of these developing early, and a few of these did, but the overall scope of what we're seeing is just really not here yet. It's back up in Kentucky and further back in Middle Tennessee. So not a lot of development just yet. And so that slower model also kind of gave us a pretty good clue of a trend that it may be a little bit more delayed. So each one hinting and doing a good job of kind of showing what may transpire. But all in all, this is reality, what we're seeing. Not a lot of development just yet. We did have a few isolated showers, spotty showers earlier, Athens, Tellico Plains trying to get going. But again, here's the check of the latest radar. And so again, most of the activity is further north. So let me go ahead and show you what's happening right now. We're going to walk through the futurecast coming right up in just a half second. And again, thank you for joining us. Hope you're enjoying your Friday night. Maybe you're at dinner or about to head out and watching us. And I'll try to go along so you can continue your night, and we'll help you plan the rest of your evening as well as timing. All right, there's that severe storm. It's near Somerset. And again, here's Corbin, North Corbin, and London, Kentucky here in East Bernstedt. So it's almost out of our viewing area. But we do cover Laurel County, Kentucky, and so that's a severe thunderstorm that's going to track into far northern county, Kentucky, Laurel County, Kentucky. We do want to show what we're looking at. It looks like that has a hail core with it, so bear with me 1 second as I look just real quick at that particular hail pop up. Yeah, it's got some hail potentially, and that warning does have the potential for some quarter-size hail. So that's what we're looking at as far as that potential stronger storm there. So yeah, give me just a second and I'll look at that. Let's see, I'm pulling this up for Laurel County, Kentucky. Yeah, that's got quarter-size hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds possible. So that storm will impact Laurel County coming out of Pulaski County. So that's that severe thunderstorm warning that's in place until 8 p.m. and for Laurel County and Kentucky. So that's what we're looking at. Again, right there with that particular storm. So 60-mile-per-hour winds, quarter-size hail are possible with this storm, and it is tracking off to the east at 30 miles per hour. So if you're watching this up in Kentucky. Now, another isolated storm is developed, and that's going to be tracking toward Middlesboro. It's right now in Whitley County, Kentucky, about to move near Siler and head toward Pearl, and will be tracking off to the east. So some of these are starting to develop and continuing. We'll continue to track those as they move in our direction. So there's a look at the northern plateau, and come on back down again here in the valley, and what we're seeing is not much development yet. But if I slide the radar on over, just to give you an idea of what we're seeing, this is Nashville in Middle Tennessee, and there's a look at a cluster of storms down around Franklin and Brentwood. Let me change the trajectory projection here. There's that batch of thunderstorms. So southwest of Nashville, those are pretty intense. Again, and there are some severe thunderstorm warnings. These looks like they're going to be tracking east-southeast, probably more toward the southern plateau and the Chattanooga area. Okay, let's go back, and I'm going to go through some of our modeling, and we'll kind of walk this through here, and I'll back it up just a second, and we'll kind of go through hour by hour here. So this is one of our high-res models, and just to give you an idea, this is the one that tends to be a little bit faster. It can sometimes pick up on these clues earlier than one of our other high-res models. So it does some good things, and sometimes, like any model, it can be a little too fast, it can be a little overdone, it can be a little underdone, honestly, right? So it's a computer model, modeling the atmosphere, what it looks like. So it's both. It's too fast and it's too overdone, because here we are at 7:30, and we go back to our radar, and that's what it was. See the difference? So a lot of times that's what we'll do. We do that to give it an idea of what's the initialization, how well did the model initialize, and how well is it picking up on some of this. So little fast and a little overdone early, but the spirit of what it's showing is expected to still eventually transpire. And so this is going over the next hour and a half, showing by 9 p.m. Again, some of this that we're seeing that's out ahead of it, the spirit of that is probably going to show something trying to develop, maybe a little overdone. It's maybe a little fast, but some scatter storms trying to come onto the plateau. This is at 9 p.m. Eastern time. It'll be 8 p.m. Central time, so keep that in mind. Now let me walk forward. Again, this particular model, again, probably a little too fast, and we'll see how that transpires later. As we go from 9 to 10 to 11 p.m., and I'll let this kind of play out and get us closer to midnight. And then the storms, again, kind of move into the valley between that 9 to 11 p.m., maybe 10 p.m. to midnight. So, but a couple of points. As they move in, again, there will be a chance for some strong to isolated severe storms, but remember the far eastern areas in a more of a marginal risk. The expectation later tonight is for a slight weakening trend. That's because the actual front is still far to our west, and so these storms, with running out of some heating a little bit, but further east, just moving away from their source a little bit more. So there may be a slow weakening trend. So we'll see if that also transpires. Let this model play on out, because as we go through the rest of our Saturday early morning, we get a break, expected break, after about 1 to 2 a.m. So that's that 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. window, which still looks pretty good as far as our window of potential strong to severe storms. So, the rest of our overnight, fairly quiet after midnight into the early morning hours. We'll keep you updated again, but the rest of overnight looks decent into our early Saturday morning. Now, as we get into our Saturday, late morning, afternoon, there'll be a new chance for thunder showers, and I'll talk more about that in a moment. I want to do the same thing we did earlier this afternoon, and we'll switch gears, and I believe this model actually just updated as well. And it updates a little bit more frequently. This one we're looking at it updates more frequently than the other one, and it was the slower model. So let's see how it's doing. This is what it's showing at 8 p.m. So there are some spotty storms. It's not too bad. It's not showing a whole lot. Let me kind of walk forward with this again and go forward in the hour. It could end up being too slow. For example, this is 9 p.m., whereas the other model will show, remember the coverage it showed on the plateau and even some stuff out ahead of it. So this one probably continues to be a little slow, but it's not bad as far as right now. So again, by 10 p.m., still got it just on the other side of the plateau. And then on midnight, matter of fact, it got even slower, I believe. It's maybe similar to the last run. But it's still showing things not overly fast coming toward the plateau closer to 10 p.m. to midnight. So again, I think this model may be a little on the slow side. We'll let this play out. It's got it, at 2 a.m., there's our 2 a.m. time frame again. After that, it should be better. But it's got it, finally coming across the valley. It's probably going to be before that, as and looking at some of the latest. And then there's 4 a.m. and kind of taking its time. So we'll see if that transpires, but probably a little bit slower. I do want to point this out, though. So we are expecting a break for your Saturday morning. Generally between about 8 to 10 a.m. should be decent, maybe up closer to 11 a.m. We'll see. But late Saturday morning into the early to mid-afternoon, we're going to see another round of at least some scatter showers and isolated storms. Now, that next round developing Saturday is not expected to be as strong as what some areas could potentially see tonight. But now we're transitioning to Saturday now. That round on Saturday is going to be tied to a cold front. Actually, the front kind of moves through a little bit early in the day. Some of the activity we may see is post-frontal. So let me do this. This is as far as this high-res model goes out to 11:30 a.m. Let me switch gears. And the same model, but a different resolution, a longer time frame. So some of these times may look a little different. I'm just going to let it kind of play through, and it's basically the same as what we just saw. But I'm going to walk forward for the rest of Saturday. So, and again, there's our break early Saturday morning. So here's where I want to pick up. So this is 10 a.m. Saturday. And again, we're expecting that break from 8 to 10 a.m., maybe 11 a.m. But notice new showers and maybe some embedded thunderstorms right there developing by, let me back that up. I know that went fast, but let me stop it at about noontime. So there's noontime. So kind of that, 10 to 11 a.m., moving back on the plateau, maybe the Western Valley, 11 a.m. and noon. So from late morning tomorrow, but this is what I want to point out for your tailgating for the Vols home opener pregame, looks like we are going to have to deal with more showers and isolated storms. They're fairly likely, I'll just say broadly speaking, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. tomorrow. So tonight, 8 p.m. to 2 a.m., 6-hour window. Tomorrow, generally speaking, 10 a.m. to 2, maybe 3 p.m., about a 4 to 5 hour window tomorrow. And I'll walk forward with that now. So this is noontime. Again, scatter showers, could see some isolated strong storms, but the overall strength tomorrow just not expected to be the same intensity. And so, again, we'll keep you updated on that. The kickoff, good news, is 3:30. It's a good thing it's not at noon. We'd probably be looking at a lot of showers likely and a few embedded thunderstorms to deal with, but it's a 3:30 kickoff. So let's let this play on out. This is 2 p.m. And so, here's the trend of what we're seeing as generally speaking, after about 2 to maybe 3 p.m., and again, we stop it at 4 p.m. The Vols kick it off at 3:30. There is the chance for lingering showers. We have that in the forecast, but the overall chance for rain is going to be lessening as we go through the rest of the ball game. It starts at 3:30. Probably we're going to have some rain beforehand. So again, tailgating, pregame activities, umbrellas and ponchos, etc. It looks likely late morning into early mid-afternoon. But then once we get to kickoff, we could see some lingering showers. Then we're going to see, again, improving conditions. The front has already moved to our south and east earlier in the day. And it's going to be a cooler day. We've lowered that high temperature for Saturday to 77, about 10 degrees cooler tomorrow than what we saw today. So you may want that poncho or rain jacket for beforehand. you know, you may want a little bit of a long sleeve because it's an afternoon kick. The air is going to cool down because of the rain beforehand. So by the time you go to the game, and even if you're not tailgating a lot beforehand, if you're just going just an hour before kickoff, for example, temperature's going to be probably in the mid 70s and cooling and maybe even to the lower 70s. So a little bit cooler as we go later on, but the rain should be lessening, improving, starting to dry out later in the game. That's the expectation for the Vols ball game tomorrow. And I'm just going to let this model play on out. It shows a few spotty showers maybe overnight, but not likely. The rest of our Sunday, clearing skies, and look at that. Sunday looks delightful. A beautiful second half of the weekend as skies clear out Sunday. Cooler air, drier air, lower humidity. Fall-like weather is going to build in Sunday and last most all of next week, even into the following weekend. It's looking pretty good as Georgia comes to town. So the next 2 weekends, after tomorrow's thunder showers, but the next 2 weekends increasingly more fall-like. Particularly as we go into next week. All right, so that's what I wanted to show you. There's one more, back to the other models real fast. It's the longer range. I'm just going to look at it for good measure and show you. Don't want to confuse the times because I think what we talked about a moment ago is pretty good there. But I'm just wanting to say, for Saturday, I just wanted to show you. Let's see how this one looks. And so it's a little slower, actually. The fast model is not a little slower for more. So I think we are going to see that redevelopment late morning into the early afternoon. It's got more of those scatter showers holding off until 2, and I'm looking at Knoxville. There's 3 p.m. It's up at Crossville, and let's see. There, whoops, played that too fast. There is 4 p.m. There's some showers. That's that chance for showers to start the game, and then. But this is a model does the same thing. It pretty much, as you can see, kind of takes that rain out as we go later in the day. So. Just wanted, different model. Same story. Sunday's pretty clear cut and dry. That sky's clear and better weather moves on in. All right, so that's what we're seeing. That's what we're expecting as far as the forecast for our Saturday as far as those thunder showers. 10 to 2, maybe 10 to 3, and then improving later in the game. Here's what we're seeing right now. Just wanted to show you 89 in Nashville and Memphis. Look at the dew points. And look, you saw temperatures in the 60s. Here's what I wanted to show you. This is what's coming our way in the 40s behind this cold front. Now notice also some post-frontal showers. Back to our current regional surface map now, current radar. There's the scatter storms, Nashville up into Kentucky. These are the ones we'll be tracking, moving in later on tonight. And again, so that's what we're seeing right now. So far, so good. It's 7:45, and we've got some spotty storms up in Kentucky. High school football games going on. Most of these are going to get in fine. And but on the plateau and northern counties, second half of the ball game, they could be impacted a little bit if some more of these continue to pop up. But it looks like the more organized storms, besides a few pop-up ones, going to probably be a little bit later on this evening in their arrival. So here's a look at the regional view. Now, we kind of just wrap it all up, and this is the same one that has those chance for showers up until game time, and then that front and the drier air, rather, continues to clear us on out. So I'll kind of just look at our forecast and show you this for tonight. I'll go back to radar, and we'll do one more Futurecast scan to kind of wrap it all up. And again, we'll continue. We'll be here tonight and keep you updated as well. And I want you to enjoy the rest of your Friday evening otherwise. But scatter storms again late this evening, that probably more like that 10 p.m. to midnight, maybe just after midnight for our area. But moving in, a few of these could be strong, but then weakening as they move through by late evening into the early overnight as they move from west to east. Strongest though on the plateau. We do have a chance for those severe storms. Again, where that severe thunderstorm watch is on the plateau, Kentucky, and northern counties. So don't let your guard down there. There could be some strong severe storms, damage, wind, some hail, main threats. So warm, muggy night tonight. Stay cool. Maybe want the fans or AC to help you keep cool. Now tomorrow, a cooler day, mostly cloudy. We talked about those thunder showers. 10 to 2, maybe 10 to 3 p.m. Best chances 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. or so. And then we're looking at those rain showers again moving out. A cooler day tomorrow, 77. And as we talked about, your Sunday, and look at next week. We go from the 70s into the 80s, but I want you to notice the overnight lows. And this is a good sign. Again, autumn is officially September 2nd. And that's going to be, 2 weeks from this Monday coming up officially. So, we're still a little ways away, but kind of another fall-like air mass with overnight lows in the 50s pretty much for all of next week. That's looking good. It looks dry. Over the next, besides tomorrow's rain chances that are elevated, 60% chance and decent chances, then the rest of the 7-day looks dry. We may stay dry for about the next 10 days following is what our high-res guidance is showing. So that's a look ahead to our extended forecast. Okay, before we wrap it up, as promised, we'll go back and look at the regional radar view. One more moment here, kind of walk through our forecast for tonight and what the latest ones I've seen. And I did want to show you the replay. See, some of these did Jamestown, Oneida, or near Huntsville. We did have some of those spotty storms. And again, but the one thing I want to point out, you remember I showed the cold front? It's still back to the west. So these developed, but then they run away from their source of lift. And, you know, we're getting closer to sunset, so we're losing a little bit of heating, but there's still some dynamics to work with. But just more of the storms right now are still back to the west. And now here's a storm we're going to be keeping an eye on right here. Let me show you where this is located. Northern, moving toward Gainesboro. So this is this is Tennessee-Kentucky state line. And so let's see, that's Jackson, Macon, Smith counties, Macon County. So if you're familiar with that, again, this is north and east, northeast of Lebanon, and continuing and toward what is that? Trying to see what that city is, covered up in Lafayette, Tennessee. So this is moving toward Pickett and Overton counties here shortly. So, you know, within the next, it's not too bad on the timing. This is going to be tracking toward Jamestown and Monticello. So let me widen out. And to give you an idea, so this is probably one of the main cells, and there's that other severe thunderstorm warning in far northern Laurel County. But this is going to be the cell we're going to be keeping an eye on, particularly for you in Jamestown to Monticello, maybe Crossville, the severe thunderstorm watch, the Plateau counties. So that is a healthy severe storm. And let me take a look and see what we got there. It is severe and has potentially 60-mile-per-hour winds possible. And as far as what we're seeing, I'll just sample this storm real quick, see what we're looking at. See what type. It's got a hail course, quarter size, maybe larger, and just looking at some, yeah, it looks like a pretty mature, severe storm. That's, and again, there's Nashville back off, so that's kind of basically to the north and east of Nashville. So this is an area that we'll continue to watch as, again, severe thunderstorm watch. Let me show you that one more time. And for the main risk area, and we'll show you those impacts. The severe thunderstorm watch, again, does include the Cumberland Plateau, where this storm will be tracking up into southeast Kentucky, southwest Virginia. It also includes Hancock, Claiborne, and Campbell counties until 1 a.m. Saturday. So this is the area where we have the best chance to see some severe storms. Again, there's no other watches in place now. We'll keep you updated on that if that changes. Doesn't mean you can't have severe storms. The watch just means that's where the greatest likelihood, probability to see some severe storms in and close to the watch area. Again, you can have, obviously, we know that, severe storms outside of that, but we'll keep you updated. Main risks are expected to be the damaging winds and some hail, as I've mentioned, and probably pull that hail up to a low end chance if I'm looking at the latest. Isolated tornadoes are possible, not overly likely, but there may be a little bit of spin in some of those storms in parts of Kentucky and near the Tennessee-Kentucky state line. So we'll be watching that, but mainly the damage and wind, a moderate threat that winds could gust up to 60 miles per hour. And again, there's once again that arrival time that we're going to keep you updated as these storms, again, continue to track out of Middle Tennessee, Kentucky, closer to us later this evening into the early overnight, then dissipating overnight. All right, we'll see you back for an update as needed tonight on this live stream. You can always keep it right here for the very latest severe weather information. And we'll see you back tonight at 10 on Fox 43 and 11 o'clock. It's the Blitz, all the sports, high school football highlights, and the very latest weather forecast for you coming up later tonight. Have a good night and a great weekend.